Maven Nation, we won't create a more balanced lifestyle by wishing for it. We must be intentional to demand it. I invite you to move away from burnout, to move away from delaying your self-care and feeling guilty when you rest. Let's embark on a journey where holistic care, confidence building, and leadership unite. Maven, you are CPR, capable, prepared, and ready. Now, let's create success with sameness. Hey, Maven Nation, welcome back. So now I have the actual founder of the space, beautiful, spicy spirited, LaGina Harris. So we've talked to Trey Nelson, who's been an intern, who's now working in her career and still working with the space.
Yes.
Nyab, Shanice, like a collection, literally a collection of women that have brought their stories, their passions together. Don't you cry?
I know. I was like,
I can see it. I can see it.
Stop. Okay.
So that brings me to my first thought.
Uh-huh.
Now that it has physically come to life, the idea that you had for the space, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel so good. And in multiple ways. Like when you called and you were like, hey, I want to do this thing with the space. I was like, what's the story to tell, right? Like Nyab just came back on the scene after like going through entrepreneur stuff and like investing in VCs and babies and everything. And then Trey Nelson's story. And then even Shanice's story of like the business pivot. Do I, don't I, should I, will I? And just knowing that like the us space has helped with all that. And then for me personally, because the reason I created the us space was because I always still feel like that sometimes, that like people want me to check off a box to hang out with them.
Okay.
Like the Black girl, the spunky person, the millennial, the business owner.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I want a place where you can pull up, you can kind of do whatever you need to do. You know my answer. I'm like, yep, sure. Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. So I feel really good that we're at a point to do the next thing.
Yeah. So before we talk about the next thing, I'm going to officially say on camera that I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Because me being one of the original founders, put
that money in.
Seeing that vision and hearing you talk about it so clearly, so like this is what I want it to be, this is what it needs to be, and through all of the journeying, right? Because entrepreneurship, just like life, is never a straight line. You've bobbed and weaved and ebbed and flowed and still come back and still land on, this is what I want to create for community, for women and women-centric organizations. This is it. And so watching you up close through this journey, again, through all of the navigation that's required, you still come back to center to say, this is the thing.
This is the thing.
This is the thing.
Yeah, I always talk about, I say it to other people, but I think a really unique thing about the us space is like residual tears, like they come afterwards. A really unique thing about the us space that I tell people, like one of our special niches is while we're doing it, while I'm doing it, I'm figuring it out and I'm sharing it. And I was just talking to a member today. I was like, it's home. So you come back and touch base, you power up, and then you go back out and do some more, learn something, and then bring it back.
Right.
And so for me, it's like the mission is the mission. I've been able to see it very clearly. I've had to talk myself out of, like, and everything. But at the end of the day, it's this really intentional space. And some of the intentionality is really hard to quantify. Unless you're somebody that has experienced tons of microaggressions or has experienced things that you can't really pinpoint it, but you're like, dang, man, that wasn't for me.
But
and I still
people want your money, but not you.
Yeah.
You don't really understand that unless you've experienced that in your journey.
Or they want the shell of you and what you represent or what money you can bring to the table. But they don't want you and your challenges and your culture. And so I love that about the us space, because We got a little bit of everything
We
in
do.
there. We have a great grandmother. We have a mother with a newborn. We have people that don't want to have kids. We have people
Right.
that have tons of kids.
Right.
So you got honorary aunties always giving. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I love that aspect of it. I love the guys that are
Yeah.
part of the us space.
Yeah.
You know, Daryl
Yes.
and Alexis
Yes.
and all of them, because they're like, oh yeah, like y'all
We're
are a
part
whole
of this.
vibe.
Yeah.
Y'all
Yeah.
are a whole vibe.
Yeah.
And I want to keep that going.
Yeah.
We're just a whole vibe all the time.
I love that. So what is next for the us space?
The next thing for the us space is actually the building that we're sitting in right now.
Right.
We're moving in.
Okay.
So we signed a lease for physical space. You know, shout out to the Canon for letting us be in the space, and for me being bold enough to ask the question to get into somebody else's
Right.
space like that. Because I think in business enough, when you're doing something that's very aligned with people shy away from it and automatically see that as,
Right.
oh, I don't need to talk to them.
Right.
And one of the best things that my mentors told me from the beginning was, well, go learn from them.
Right.
And, you know, so I had a great conversation. Canon brought us in. We brought the Canon in. We learned from each other for the last 1.5 years. It feels like
I was getting ready to say 3.
Right, 5,000 years. And now we're at a point where we're busting out at the seams as far as like member needs.
Yeah.
And so it's time to move. And, you know, a yes turns into an opportunity, turns into showing up for yourself. And so we signed a lease here at the Esperson building, and we're moving in 2024.
I love it. That's just what, 45 days ish away. She's like, don't tell me the days. You're stressing me out.
Oh my gosh, there's furniture, there's painting, there's redoing and stuff. But you know, we've been taking field trips over here, so by now most of the members know.
Yes.
And Esperson's really, really excited about us being over here, so they've told people too.
Right.
So yeah, but this is the first official podcast. The us space is moving into the Esperson building.
The excitement. I'm like, LaGina, you're excited?
No.
And she's like, no, not yet. No, so that was a good bit of joy. Listen, I'm excited just to see what 2024 and beyond is going to bring, how the community, how you are going to keep growing, how the collective is going to continue to grow. And here's one of the really great things that I love about the us space. In the entrepreneurial journey, there are ebbs and flows. Yeah. Some days you're excited about being an entrepreneur, and some days you're like, this is some bull. I'm out. But coming into the us space, you get that battery recharge.
Yeah.
It's like you
sometimes
get to plug in, and we laugh and talk and cut up and vent and like, girl, let me tell you what happened. All of those things serve to, one, remind you it's not just me.
Yeah.
It's happening to a lot of us. But to hear the different solutions, things you would not have thought of. And even if there's no solution needed, just to be able to laugh, talk about it, get it out, and go, I'm ready tomorrow.
I got this. And you know what? When it's that, and I also hear like in the background sometimes, especially at work accountability days, somebody's always like, well, let me get your number. We can do that together.
Right.
And then next thing I know, there's an event going on, or we're getting an email like, hey, we need this, or this needs to be done, or can you promote this? And I'm like, yeah, man, that's the whole point.
Yeah. It's
kind of just to hang out and get business done, and be a human, but get business done, and enjoy life, but get business done. No space.
Y'all, Maven Nation, the one and only, the LaGina Harris, founder of the space. I'm going to drop the links below this. So if you're not a member, you're locally here in Houston, even virtually.
Yeah, virtual.
Be a part of the collective. We are doing some amazing things. Being us. And supporting us and growing together. So I love it.
Unapologetic self-starters. Us.
There it is. You have heard it from here.
This is the young people way to do it.
Okay. Bye, y'all. Maven, thank you for tuning in. To accelerate your journey of success with saneness, download our free video series at myrashaw.com/3moves. That's the number 3 moves. It's 3 easy videos offering practical steps for your growth. Make sure to stay connected by joining our email list and leave us a review and a 5-star rating if you feel it's worthy over on Apple Podcasts. You'll find all of these links in the show notes. Again, Thank you for listening, Maven, and be sure and join us for the next episode where we will continue our journey of creating success with sameness.